Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome back to another impromptu live. This is not planned. I have a little bit of free time, and so I decided to um, do a little live because there's something on my chest, I guess, that I share, and that is with I am seeing in the last few months as a content creator on the back end since October 7th with regards to how Jewish content is seen. What I see that is perhaps the sordid underbelly that I feel like I stand as a witness to it, and I feel in some ways I should be talking about it and sharing what I see. I do want to say I don't plan to make this live be very long. Furthermore, more importantly, I want to say that I want to talk candidly about issues that are hard to hear. If you're not comfortable with that, I just want to put it up on top that I want to share a little bit the back end of what I'm seeing. And so, um, this might not be for everyone. So that said, hello, and of course, a big hello to everyone I know through YouTube. I feel like I've made so many friends. I've gotten to know such wonderful people. I want to say a big hi to all of you. Special hello to my channel members who join me on my weird lives. Um, I want to do more of them. I'm hoping to do more of them when my son goes off to college to Carleton and Minneapolis in this coming September. That's going to involve some traveling and some extremely new adventures, and I'm hoping to share that via lives. So that's a little bit of, I guess, housekeeping out of the way. Is this John from John Harvey that says hi? I'm just going to look at some of the people who are here. I think I know all of you. Hi, Jana. I drop everything to watch this. Bless you, darling. Rachel, of course. Joe, of course. John, yes, that's me. Of course, my rabbi is also here. He makes sure to watch and give added commentary when needed. He doesn't have a name. He's just my Chabad rabbi. This is a joke, by the way. He's a lovely person who comments all the time, and I have nicknamed him my rabbi, but not in an official capacity. Hello, Valerie O'Keefe and Fatima's Lifetime. Hi to all of you guys. How are you doing? We're finally having good weather in New York, so things are lovely here. I hope they're good with you guys. Rachel, look what I have here. This is for you. Hi, Shandy from Montreal, Dana from Los Angeles, and Graham from Ohio. I feel like my spirits are already picked up just from seeing you all here on the live. And a special shout out to Zelda, who can be here, who is my mentor and my amazing friend, and is usually in my lives, and she's missed. So I want to share with you a little bit of what I've been seeing on the back end as a content creator, because it is so sitting. I feel like I'm seeing something that is an important issue, and I don't want to treat it in a cavalier way. But to me, it seems very important, and of course, it's related to what's going on now in the Middle East with a war. This is my it's not going to be visible, I see. Yes. This is my TikTok comments on a kosher phone video, and you can see there are 441 filtered comments. There were a lot more. I deleted them. There were also a lot of comments that were not filtered that I deleted as well. So I put this video on TikTok. Oh, it's blurry because I put the phone up there. I put a video on TikTok about kosher phones. Now, this is about kosher phones. It is not at all about anything related to the Middle East at all. And is about a community in New York, which, as many of you know who follow my channel, is actually non-Zionist, who are have a unique approach to technology, and so they have innovated kosher phones. For some reason, this gets a lot of people really angry. I cannot understand why, but I also get a lot of comments. The 441 filtered comments will be effing morons, free Palestine, free Palestine. You need to be kosher phones so they can brainwash their kids. They don't want their kids to know about the reality of Zionism. This is an example of really at the crux of what I'm seeing. Content that is entirely unrelated to Zionism gets comments almost entirely about Zionism. So we're told, a lot of people, I think, who know the issue might rightfully say that Zionism is not Judaism. There is this discussion of how much can you distinguish Zionism from Judaism, and having created content that in some ways covers Jews that are not Zionists. In theory, I think that is a fair thing to say. Not all Jews are Zionists. But what I am seeing on the back end of things is that it seems to me that the vast majority of people, lay people who don't know much about Jews, do not know the distinguishment between Zionism and Judaism. And when they see Jews, especially visibly Jewish people, they see whatever they have been hearing about Zionism. And because we have had a dialogue in which Zionism has been divorced from Judaism, and in which Zionism has become permissible to be attacked on all fronts, where Zionists are now free game for being called genociders and the worst committers of evil. Because of that, it seems to me that most people who cannot distinguish between Zionists and Jews are now making these assumptions about all Jews. So the discussion of what's happening, let's say, on college campuses, where on college campuses people are screaming against Zionists, are what young people who are scrolling TikTok are seeing when they see a Hasidic Jew with a beard and side curls, a Hasidic Jewish woman with a headscarf. They are seeing evil, genociding woman. And when I go through notifications, I see one after the other comments that are essentially speaking to horrible evil that Jews are committing. Is killing Palestinian children kosher? Is a comment I have here. Religion is the root of all evil, a Palestinian flag, and F you to an Israeli flag. Dumb religion. Just a reminder, another thing Muslim community cannot do. I get a lot of comments stating as fact that the Jews get special dispensation to do things that would never be permissible for Muslims. I see no evidence of that being the case. I don't know what makes them state these things as the case, but I will get these comments over and over again saying, well, look, the Jews are allowed to do all of these things, but other it's essentially Muslims would never be allowed to do that. In that way, fomenting hate on the grounds of a spurious claim on which there's no assumption. Did you try to make a halal phone? Did you get banned for making a halal phone? Are you basing that claim on that? No, you're just stating a claim just like that out of an assumption, an unstated, an unproven conclusion that there is a kind of a special treatment for Jews. And on that is built so much animosity after that. And I get so many of these comments about how Jews are allowed to live one way that is not permissible for Muslims. And it bothers me because I don't understand how we come from talking about traditions of the Jews. Let's say the Jews are wearing this and this garb, how that becomes a statement of special treatment to Jews and an offense to other religions, of a double standard, of essentially fomenting enormous animosity. I also see, of course, a million comments about Hasidism being a cult, whatever. You already killed them and prevent food to enter your hostages to Gaza. Don't act like you care about your hostages. Free Palestine. I don't know. You could say the Free Palestine comments are bots. Okay, fair. But I get a lot more comments that are not bots because they are addressing the kosher phone. They are saying kosher bombs, kosher weapons, oh, kosher to steal land. So they're very direct on the fact that there's an innovative kosher phone and they're responding to that innovative kosher phone. Then there is also, I get comments about the cost of the kosher phone. I've been getting a lot of comments about that. It's like $70 to $90 for a flip phone. The comments I get are, again, very much expressing anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic beliefs that Jews are stealing. So they're saying, oh, look, they're stealing from each other. $90, $70 for a flip phone is not absurd. You buy a used flip phone on eBay for $30. You buy a brand new one for $50. A good flip phone on Amazon, on Verizon is going to be $200. So the Hasidic person who took a flip phone and created a modified version and naturally adds a markup on it is not doing anything at all that I can understand why the comments would see that as some kind of proof of this stereotype of Jews. It is so disturbing to see comment after comment pointing out the price tag and making a generalization about Jews based on that price tag. I see it again and again, and I delete it every time, not because I want to delete, not because I'm interested in playing the police, but because I want my comments to be a space where people feel like you can have intelligent discussion, where you're not dealing with the propagation of these tiresome anti-Semitic comments, but going through them and repeatedly deleting them and repeatedly seeing that people come into a video about a kosher phone with all of these a priori assumptions about Jews, assumptions that are so dangerous that it's like these assumptions. Do people not know how dangerous they are to make these blanket assumptions about a group of people, and they then, out of that assumption, cherry pick off of the content what they can find that validates the assumption they have come in with? And one of them is this caricature of the Jew as this kind of, especially now with a land stealing meme, kind of, oh, the thievery. And so out of a kosher phone for $94, comment after comment is going to mention that and make a larger comment about Jews. I've also, by the way, made a post on my YouTube channel about the well, which I also get a lot of, which is just 3 words, well. And I had one well that had like 500 upvotes. And I had a lot of other wells. Like a lot of comments were just well. And I did not know what it meant. I was like ignoring it until I was like, this means something to people and it doesn't mean anything to me. Maybe I'm out of the loop. And so, so I looked it up, and indeed, well does stand for a kind of a code word to say, see, we told you so. So maybe they're saying, well, because the price of the kosher phone is $94. And so they're all going, well. To us, it might look like just the words, well, but to them, it's like, see, we told you. The Jews are the root of all of the problems of the world. And so from that follows comments that are very overtly, very disturbingly anti-Semitic. Like some of the comments are just out and out. Again, I'm just going to say it as I see it. Turn on the ovens. Hitler didn't finish the job. Where is the Austrian painter? It's time for, to finish the job. Comments like that very often. I also, by the way, get comments claiming that the Holocaust didn't happen, that the Holocaust was Jew on Jew violence, and so on. And I believe that there are a lot of people who believe these things and a lot of people who see these other comments, the comments making these claims about Jews, and that are influenced by them and that they buy them. And the reason why in this very moment I feel like so much more the weight of it is because I'm experiencing it turned up to the umpteenth degree. I'm experiencing it so much more in my comments that there are these statements about Jews in this enormously um, terrible frame, and remember, my content is not about Zionists. My content is about non-Zionist Hasidic Jews. So no matter where you stand on the war, no matter where you stand on Israel, the whole debate about Zionism, it seems to me there's a serious problem that many people now associate Jews with these horrible descriptors like genociders, like murderers, like they're killing babies. I posted another video about Hasidic children, the games they play. It was really meant to be a catalog of how children who don't have a very screen active life, almost no screen active life at all, entertain themselves. I really am interested in documenting the sports, the games that are unique here and that the children play. It really was nothing more a Hasidic community in Brooklyn, New York, in the United States, and the games that the children play. I cannot tell you how many comments I got about how these children playing is a horrible sight because of the Palestinian children who are being murdered, with the insinuation that somehow these children are guilty of something and their innocence is a cavalier affront to the suffering of Palestinian children. Again, it's like I hear people saying Zionism is not Judaism, and then I see in my comments that the vast majority of people, Zionism is Judaism, and it has become permissible to make these really disturbing statements about Jews. And I'm watching it and I'm seeing it and I'm seeing it get worse and worse and worse. And it's disturbing. I find, in all honesty, that it creeps into my dreams. I wake up with these strange dreams of like having been yelled at over speaking Yiddish, strange stuff, because I'm carrying this kind of a sense that there's a lot of animosity in the vast majority. I'm not saying that relates at all to my own followers who are wonderful and intelligent and curious and open-hearted and open-minded. I have many different views among my followers, or at least I would hope so. In from different people come from different places, but in the end of the day, the people who watch my long form content, my regular content, they're not the ones, of course, leaving these comments. So I really wanted to share this experience because I feel like as I watch it and I carry it in me, I should communicate it. And I'm now going to see if I can look at some of your comments. It is a little hard to look at comments while I do a live. Can you buy a kosher phone online? I think so. Google kosher phone. John says people in the UK frequently invoke what Hasidim do and say the same thing. They also say wild, unfounded things like saying Jews have their own hospitals and police, confusing the Shomrim for police. Yes. One of the comments I get a lot, I got on TikTok especially, were blatantly incorrect facts about Hasidic Jews, like shockingly wrong. The women don't go to school, and it'll get a ton of upvotes. This community, the women are forced to marry at early teens. They get married at 15 and have 128 children. But like comments like, they're all abused, they're all sexually molested, they're all tunneling. A lot about tunnels. They're all digging some kind of nefarious tunnel. But generally, a lot of people will state as fact stuff. They'll say, "I went to this community. I used to be in this community regularly. They spit on you and they kick you out. Be very careful when you go over there. You will get attacked." And I'm like, I'm there all the time. Are my lying eyes, like, I find myself being so conflicted by the fact that people speak of testimony as if fact when my own eyes have a completely different experience. I'm a tour guide there, come with people all the time. No one spits at us. People are friendly. What are you talking about? And these kinds of negative comments invite so much upvote. So many people are drawn to them and read them, and are more likely to believe those comments than to believe my response saying, no, that's not what's actually happening. So there will be all of these completely made up things stated as fact, and stated with such authority that I think it's very easy to believe, oh yeah, that's actually what's happening. Another thing I see actually a lot is that people will say, oh, this is not true about this community. To find out the truth, look at the Netflix show Unorthodox, or it might also be the Netflix documentary One of Us. So there are these pieces of media that are often not even nonfiction. Unorthodox is very, very loosely based on Deborah Feldman's life. It's actually so loosely, it's not fair to say that it's based on her life. And it is completely fictionalized. It was shot in Germany. It is not, when it came out and I was critical of it, people said, oh, it's just entertainment. Why are you taking it so seriously? But I get a lot of comments of people saying, watch this piece of entertainment in order to learn about this population. And so people really take these pieces of media to be a representative of a culture. Media is very powerful. Media is more powerful than I think we want to give credit. Even if we just watch for entertainment, it's a lot more than entertainment. Um, Let me look at some more of your comments. Being the politics around the current crisis, so much historically bad blood all around. Most ordinary religious folk are just minding their own business. Yes, exactly. But I think the kids are like seeing a very biased piece of it. They're very, very influenced. I think most young people are very influenced by the issue of the day. Tony asks, are there any demonstrations in the Hasidic communities in New York? You mean demonstrations, pro-Palestine demonstrations? As far as I know, no. There have been demonstrations on the Williamsburg Bridge, closing the Williamsburg Bridge, causing disruptions, including for the Hasidic community. It's right over there. Right off the Williamsburg Bridge, but I don't think it was meant to target the Hasidic community. I remember during COVID, the Black Lives Matters protest went through the Hasidic community, but I don't think the pro-Palestine demonstrators did. I have seen them in Brooklyn. They're usually in downtown Brooklyn. About tunnels, just watched a great documentary about the kids who built the tunnels. It was 7 years old, and the 14-year-old tunnel builder said every home in Gaza has a tunnel. Well, that's a very different tunnel than the tunnels that the Jews are accused of, which is the tunnels related to the illegal expansion that was initiated in the Chabad 770 headquarters, and which caused so much of a ruckus. Letitia says, never stop your work, Frida, please. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. There's a Hasidic man from KJ that, for whatever reason, loves to post his kids on TikTok, and the comments are absolutely insane. I can't imagine what it's like to be a creator on TikTok, makes content about themselves. Because people make really horrible comments. They make comments about looks. They make comments about um, observations they make of what they declare to be genetic conditions. They make really, really hurtful comments. I find myself getting really hurt, and it's not my, like, it's, if I were to make a life vlog and get that kind of comments, I don't know. I don't know that you can get those negative comments out of your head. I was talking to a content creator, a lovely content creator, makes amazing content, feisty and wonderful. And she was joking that an entire therapy session was devoted to one negative comment. People don't realize you make an offhand comment and how much you carry that. It gets stuck with you. You stew on it. You kind of believe it. You know, you start to answer yourself back. Should I answer? Should I not answer? Should I delete it? Should I not delete it? Should I engage? Should I? It's hard to create content. You get a lot of nice comments, but as I'm sure you can all imagine, one negative comment will really spoil it. But the negative comments that are coming to Jews, I don't know. It shocks me. Who feels comfortable writing such things? What kind of people are comfortable making these remarks? It's so cruel. It's so incredibly cruel, especially if someone's personal, like if you're commenting on that very person. I don't know. I feel like how can anyone, I keep wondering, how can anyone keep making content on TikTok? There's a big TikToker, very famous Chabad woman, Miriam. She's very popular. I hear about her from the young people on my tours a lot. And I keep wondering, how does she do it? Maybe she's created an audience that's a buffer to the regular commenters, so it makes it bearable, because I see on certain videos horrible comments that it's probably scarring. um Poppy Oak says, I know anti-Semitism has always existed, but I vastly underestimate the extent. I also wrongly thought it was dying out. Thank you for increasing awareness. First of all, Poppy Oak, thank you for being such a darling. And I will tell you, I think most of us didn't know that these ideas about Jews being the primary villains of the world was prevalent, was propagated, was so common. That is what shocks me so much. I think it was in decline. I think it was going away, and I think it is coming back. It is being I think it is being passed on intentionally or unintentionally through the anti-Zionist protests, through the anti-Zionist movement. Whatever the anti-Zionist movement is doing, I think that is something they have to grapple with, because I think it's coming from there. That's my impression. Anyone with fingers and a keyboard can write on the internet. It's not something that we can change. People need to work on being happy and self-esteem and not rely on other opinions. I hear that. However, and by the way, the username is very apt. It's neutral. While I hear that, I think for me, what I'm saying now is not about shaking it off or not shaking it off, but it is really about what I see in the internet as representing a, a moment in Jewish history, in anti-Semitism, that I think we're allowing the normalization of anti-Semitism, and we have to deal with it somehow, so this doesn't keep festering and growing. My friend Rabbi says, I have guys in Russia who never saw a Jew in their life, leave negative comments by the thousands. Anti-Semitism has nothing to do with what we do, how we look, how we think, etc. I also wonder who feels comfortable writing such things, but how do social media platforms allow such filth? To be fair, I think they have a really hard time filtering it out. When I put up content, TikTok notifies me that they activate anti-bullying, which is so strange. Anti-bullying has been activated, and it means that they're, I guess, applying very heavy moderation to my videos. I don't choose it. They pick up that I'm getting that kind of flood of comments, and they automatically start to filter out comments. But the commenters are aware of that, so they get around it. So I saw someone write, for instance, death to Jews, but they write JE space W. So the filter still picked it up. It came into my filter, but the person knew that you can't just write that. If you write it out, the filter will pick it up. So that while the algorithm and the filters are trying on overdrive to block it out, it's just a scale at which it's impossible for the filters to respond as quickly as people are able to innovate ways to get around the filters. Someone says you are shocked, S-key on the road. You're shocked by it because you grew up fairly sheltered and are playing catch up with how mean and evil people can be in the world. You're still sweet and naive, but anti-Semitism has always been here. I definitely am guilty of repeatedly believing in people. And when I get let down, I am so crushed. I have an idealism always that I tend to think people are good people. But also, yes, I grew up in the Hasidic community where we were sheltered from being the Jew, from being the isolated one to be othered. And so and you also grow up with each other, you don't realize what anti-Semitism is. I find sometimes now when I talk to Hasidic people and we discuss anti-Semitism, I think to myself, wow, this person does not know the form anti-Semitism takes in the wider world. This person doesn't know about these stereotypes about Jews. This person doesn't know that he's looked at with these assumptions about this evil, conniving Jew by a certain population because he's so sheltered from what anti-Semitism is. And that was the case for me when I left the Hasidic community. It slowly started to like I started to pick up bits and pieces based on what people would say, how they would express what they were afraid to say, that they were making assumptions about the Jewish people that were kind of like, as a people, always when there are these generalizations, it's scary, but negative generalizations about one people. And I think when you are in the Hasidic community, you're sheltered from the negative generalizations, even though you're very exposed to the legacy of the Holocaust. Very. So it's almost like a dissonance where you're taught that, anti-Semitism is a thing, anti-Semitism is a thing. Our people were murdered. They were taken to gas chambers, but you don't have that firsthand experience of the underlying assumptions about the Jewish people that are kind of undergirding that propelled Germany in the 1930s to turn on the Jews in this way. To Kemedov, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Coach Red says your content spreads light. Thank you. It's easier to make a mess online than it is to clean it up. Social media is destroying us. I think so. I can't chase after it, and I find myself being affected. I'll never forget when I was a young girl in Satmar Hasidic Girls' School, walking down the hallway of a trailer. Our school was expanding so quickly, they couldn't build buildings fast enough. So we had our sewing classes in a trailer that had been a series of trailers, a network of trailers that were modified into sewing classrooms. And I remember walking down the hallway with another girl whose mother was the principal. And as we walked by a room, there were a couple of elderly ladies sitting with piles of books. And my friend, let's call her Esty, said to me, my mother is a principal. So she told me that these are the censoring ladies. They censor our textbooks, but they have to keep on being replaced because they become desensitized to what they need to censor. I remember that so strongly because I was like, in that moment, it's like, oh, our textbooks are censored. I was always extremely curious about what's happening under the censorship, and I love to scratch off the crayon and see what's under it. But I kind of didn't even think about the process that led to the textbooks being that way. Like, this is how you get a textbook. It has pages missing and parts that are crossed out. Um, and that moment was like a revelation when I realized that the textbooks went through a process. There were humans, there were people who were making it kosher. But I also was left with the awareness that kind of like in the process of censoring, you're changed by it. I find myself being changed by it. I am censoring my comments. The reason I'm censoring my comments, which is not something I'm really comfortable with, is because I want to make you guys comfortable. I know that I wouldn't want to come into a comment thread where you get a flood of comments saying the Holocaust didn't happen. I wouldn't feel comfortable having a discussion. I wouldn't want to get dragged into arguing with trolls. I wouldn't want to get triggered by trolls who are just trying to get a rise out of you. I don't think it's a place that it's, I don't think it's conductive. It's like if I was in a group of people in real life and someone came in and started to say the Holocaust didn't happen, we would walk away. We're not having a discussion with this person. So I'm deleting these comments, but in the process of deleting them, I feel myself affected by it. I feel myself completely like it's seeping into me. I'm having these debates in my mind with these people at all hours as I'm experiencing the world based on what I'm seeing in these censored parts of the comments. The Kovac says there's difference between being a non-Zionist and anti-Zionist, and there's no Satmar without Zionism. I don't know what that means. There's no Satmar without Zionism. I'm sure we could unpack that all day. I'm going to read 2 or 3 more comments, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, Cheshire Cat. Great handle. Hang in there, please. I appreciate that. My 25-year-old neighbor told me her post 9/11 generation are more concerned with Islamophobia than anti-Semitism. I hear that. This is what terrorist warfare is about, the psychological and spiritual effects. Anti-Israel is not anti-Semitism, logically speaking, so it is bad to go down that road arguing against that, since it discredits the fight against Jew hatred. I hear that, and yet here I am creating content that is unrelated to Israel, by and large. I had a tour of Bnei Brak, which is also largely, I think, anti-Zionist. But largely my content is unrelated to Israel. And I get comments about the people in my content being genociders. So how can you then say that actually anti-Zionism is not a criticism of Jews? Like, how can we not be concerned about the conflation of the two? I'm Jewish, never Hasidic, though I hear you brave and have a good soul. Ha'im at mevina ivrit? Ani lomedet ivrit achshav. I'm trying even the accent. A middle-aged Turkish woman living in Istanbul. I'm blessed to have 2 beautiful Hasidic friends. Thank you. I'm gonna see if I can read a comment or 2. I think the sound problem might be device or browser related. I'm sorry if you guys have sound problems. It is super hard to do lives. And Rachel says this whole what about culture is damaging and unhelpful. That is so true. That is so true. It's not what about can Muslims do this? What about can other people? I think it's not everything is supposed to be inflammatory. Sometimes we can just take something, appreciate it for what it is, and leave it. It doesn't have to be divisive and a source of so much animosity. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today on this impromptu live. I'm sorry that I don't give advance notice. It's just really hard to get into the frame of mind for a live. It's kind of thing that I find is best if I do it when I feel like talking. So my apologies to all of you who are watching later and that I didn't get to see your comments. I'm hoping I can look at your comments, those of you left comments. Um, I hope that I could look at your comments later and see what you said. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you in the comments further.